What's up, everyone? This is a Nosebleed Perspective. It is Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. Shout out to me. Happy 2-year anniversary being married to my awesome wife who doesn't know a difference between a shortstop and a quarterback in the NFL. But that's okay. That is not why we're here today. We are here to talk about a wild weekend in the NFL and overreact to all of it. This is a show where an average fan can come on, give a hot take from a Nosebleed's view, and voice their thoughts. So, make sure you guys subscribe, like our videos, follow us on Spotify, all that. Today I'm joined by Mr. Ben Bouvy, host of the
What up, dog?
Host of the Brass Tacks and Beers podcast. Look at that awesome background behind him.
Oh, this little guy?
Oh,
Don't worry
yeah.
about that little guy.
Yeah, so make sure you guys go check out his podcast. Got a lot of cool episodes on there. Just really gets down to brass tacks on all the things, really everything. You want to put a little plug in for your show real quick before we get started?
Yeah, come listen to my podcast where I drink beer and talk about stuff where I think I know a thing or two about a thing or two, but in reality, I know nothing about nothing.
Hey, that's exactly what this sports show is right here. So, all right. So before we get started in any of these topics, I feel like I have a job to do. And first off, I just want to say that Drew Lock, you fucking suck at football.
Ooh, yeah, he does.
I have to put that out there because the other guys are not on to blast him with me. So, anyway,
He looks so bad.
Oh,
So
dude,
bad.
dude, he's so bad. He's definitely taken the place of our Dwayne Haskins. So,
Somebody's got to be the guy that gets just beat down on a week-to-week basis. And how kind of Drew Lock to step up and be that guy. And somebody needs to be the whipping boy. That's just all. That's all there is to it.
yeah, I mean, put old Brett Rippin in, whoever the hell that backup was. So, anyway, all right, we got some pictures here, so let's go ahead and scroll through here. All right, that's not working. Here we go. So in the NFC West, obviously yesterday was a huge day for the NFC West. DeAndre Hopkins comes through in triple coverage. People smothered all over him, and the alien that he is jumps up and grabs it. Did you see this happen live first off at all, or did you just see the highlights?
I saw this happen live. And when I said the first thing I thought to myself was Bill O'Brien should go off himself in a bathroom right now for letting this man go for a second-round pick and David Johnson.
Oof.
What are you thinking? And on top of that, like all the highlights after where they really zoom in on it, did you notice that he's got the Jumpman gloves on and he's surrounded by a Nike glove from one defender and an Adidas glove from the other defender? Talk about like the perfect advertisement in the future, like for Jumpman. If they can get, NFL to sign off on using that, they might make millions off of that play.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Kyler Murray isn't getting enough credit either because, I mean, the dude just absolutely just flung it. He wasn't even, as soon as he threw it, he throws it, he turns the sideline. He's not even looking at the way he threw it. He's looking at the big screen behind him like, holy shit, he actually caught that.
Yeah.
So that was a big win.
If it was anywhere else, if it was 5 inches to the right or left or, forward or back, it's an incomplete pass. He put it the only place DeAndre Hopkins could have made a play in triple coverage. And I mean, the chances of that catch being made were super slim anyway, but that was the only spot he could have thrown it for that thing to even have a chance of getting caught. So you're right. Kyler Murray, talk about an absolute just dime. It was right there where it needed to be. And that's what happens when you have an elite receiver. That's why all these quarterbacks go out and complain and want big-bodied elite guys, and they're very few and far between. And DeAndre Hopkins, he's just one of those guys.
Oh, yeah. And to quote him, they were in a good position, but it was a better catch by eye. Just a profound quote by DeAndre Hopkins. Love that. It was awesome. We talked about the rest of the NFC West. Seahawks, they go into Los Angeles and they lose to the Rams, which feeling pretty good today, I will say.
I was about to say, I bet you feel real great after that one.
I called it before the game. I was like, this is a game. If we win this, we're going to be in there. If not, I mean, I don't know how you cannot go out and just absolutely perform against the Seahawks. So,
yeah.
I mean, so little quick fact, obviously, the Rams take the win, undefeated in SoFi Stadium, by the way. So next time you're looking to place those bets, you know where to put your money. And I hammered the Rams on this game, and just pretty excited, man. Do you have any thoughts on the Seahawks? Because
I
they look
mean,
abysmal. I mean, I would say that they try to imagine the Seahawks without Russell Wilson.
they'd be awful.
Put anybody else but Russell Wilson.
Awful.
But obviously the Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, but I don't
You
think they
take
can
out the
go out.
top 5 guys, if you take the top 5 quarterbacks away from that team because Russ is in there,
Mhm.
um, that they might not be 500. DK Metcalf is a monster, but we all know an elite receiver doesn't make a team. I mean, we've seen plenty of elite receivers. Larry Fitzgerald's one of them. He's been on a terrible Cardinals team most of his career.
Mm.
If you don't have a quarterback, you can't win. And a elite quarterback can will you to victory. And you see that with the Seahawks. They have no business being 6-3 with the team they built around Russell Wilson. And if it's not for him, I say they're probably under 500.
Yeah, I mean, you see, so we got the Cardinals, the Rams, and the Seahawks all tied at 6-3.
Yeah.
The 49ers, I don't know if they're going to get healthy enough, quick enough to actually make a playoff run or even get in the playoffs. So let's exclude them for the moment. Who do you like the most to win this division? And who do you like the least out of those three top teams?
So I like the Seahawks the least, which is a little bit different than the 2 weeks ago when I was on here. We were talking about this division again, and I said I go with the best quarterback, but you're seeing that the team just isn't doing enough around him. Maybe they get a late season push where, he rallies the troops and they overperform, but the Seahawks look like they're just on the downslope. They lost to the Rams and the Cards. Um, I don't know. And the Cards, they just look like they're getting so hot. They look like they're getting so hot right now. And Kyler Murray just looks like he's playing without fear.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
I like the Cardinals to pull down the division. I like the Rams to stay there at the 2 spot. The exact order they're in, I think it finishes out in that order, just whatever the records pan out to be. The 49ers, I stand by what I said 2 weeks ago. Just tank. You don't want Jimmy G. Just tank. Get your guy. You're at 4 wins. Lose out.
man, that's hard. It's hard to lose out. I think they have a couple games against the NFC East left too. So
Oh, yeah, it's tough.
it's going to be tough for them to
They're
actually do
terrible.
that. Yeah. So, by the way, the Eagles, I feel like Doug Peterson has got to be on the hot seat more than anyone else at this point. If he does not win that shitty division,
Yeah.
they have to do somebody's got to lose a head up there in Philadelphia
Mm-hmm.
because this is the easiest division in my life, at least, that I've seen. And if the Eagles can't win that division, I don't care how many injuries they have. Look at how bad they are. They have the same. If they can get a little healthier, same type of core that made that Super Bowl run, the same coaching
Yeah.
staff. Carson Wentz was the guy who led them most of the way to that Super Bowl run. Obviously for Big Dick Nick, but NFC East is atrocious.
They're so bad. And I can remember a couple years where the AFC South was pretty bad overall. I can remember a couple years where the NFC West was pretty bad overall, but I've never seen a division like the NFC East is right now. I mean, they are just abysmal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's tough to watch, really. And I'm pretty upset the Rams already got their 4 wins from that division. So, and the Rams play the Cards twice, going towards the home stretch of the season too. So those are going to be big games. This Thursday night football game is going to be a rematch of the Cardinals and the Seahawks. Can't wait for that. But yeah, I got to agree with the Seahawks being the least. I mean, we're seeing it.
Yeah.
He's fun fact. Russell Wilson has through the past 3 weeks more turnovers than anybody in the NFL. So
Wow.
you can attribute that to the running game not being there. Chris Carson's been hurt, obviously, and then their backup Carlos Hyde's been out for equal amount of time as him. So there's that. But at the same time, Mr. Unlimited looking pretty limited, I will
Yeah.
say. So
Yeah.
be
And
fun.
I love Russ. Let me just say that I love Russell Wilson. I
Mhm.
would take him on the Steelers in a heartbeat.
Oh, for sure.
But I mean, yeah, that team around him is just so bad. So bad.
Yeah, I mean, you get a little pressure on Russell. I think that's what we do great too in LA for as long as Russell Wilson's been there, even when we sucked. Aaron Donald's just been a beast. He can take up a couple guys. We saw Leonard Floyd just have an absolute day yesterday
Mm-hmm.
with a few sacks, and you get him on the run, and he's so smart of a player that he knows when to slide. So he's not going to be he doesn't take chances as a runner like Lamar or Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
So if you can get him to scramble out, limit him on 3rd and longs, he's not going to be the guy who's going to get 10 yards. He'll go get 7 or 8 each time. But if you
Yeah.
get in 3rd and long situations, you're going to be in a good spot. So anyway, on to the Sunday night football game that was a couple days ago. Woo! My friend, are the Ravens? Look, so this is a team in your division. What we can kind of cover the Steelers too. Got to be
Yeah.
good, 9-0. But are
Yeah.
the Ravens dead? Because what I know, they look piss pouring down rain last night. Like
Yeah.
it was crazy. You couldn't even see near the end of the game. I couldn't even see the players on the field almost. But I mean, are the Ravens dead? Are the Pats back? What are your thoughts on this? What did this tell you?
So it told me, well, first off, the Ravens are not dead. The Baltimore Ravens are a fantastic organization with a fantastic team. The receiver core leaves a lot to be desired, but they are absolutely not dead. I think, and the Pats are not back either. I'll say that. Like in the onset of all this, the Ravens are not dead. The Pats are not back. Do not be fooled by this mirage of a game, because these teams are what we think they are last week. The Pats are not going to make the playoffs. They're awful. But when you have a defensive mastermind like Bill Belichick, and, we talked about 2 weeks ago, is he kind of showing through that maybe Brady was the more important piece of that, machine they had that won 6 Super Bowls, and I don't even know how many divisions in a row and all these different things.
Yeah.
He's still a fantastic coach. I mean, arguably the greatest coach of all time. So he's never going to coach his team out of a game. His players might lose him the game. And I think you just saw a phenomenal scheme play out and a coach elevate his players to the point of upsetting a team. But upsets happen. It does not mean the Pats are back. They are still a limited roster with a quarterback that doesn't look all that great since the COVID time off he had. I can't see the Ravens as being dead. They run the ball too well. That is a style of game that ages well throughout a season as it gets colder. And the Pats they're awful. I don't think they're a good team.
I mean, if the Pats don't turn the ball over, man, they have a few more wins. I will say.
Yeah.
So there's that, but I totally agree with the Pats. I don't think they can. The AFC is too good for them to sneak in the playoffs, even with the expansion. If they do that, but the Ravens, man, I don't know, man. I kind of got to disagree on this one because watching that offense last night, like, yeah, they're going to run the ball, but you know what they're going to do. And we talked about this in the pregame show. Lamar's calling out the coaching staff. Defenses know what we're going to do, but it's just tough to watch them. Lamar's scrambling. Mm-hmm. He's scrambling more than he did last year. He's just he's running all over the place, and he's not picking up 20 yards. He's not picking up 8 to 10 yards. He's picking up like 1 yard, or he's getting back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So that's definitely changed, and you can attribute that to the offensive line just all being either dead or retired or not there.
That offensive line is hurt, man.
They are.
They're in tough shape. They're banged up.
And you're definitely seeing that shine through. So I'm worried about the Ravens just because that AFC, if they fuck around and lose a couple more games, there are some real teams that can sneak in and take their place. And speaking of those teams, here they are. I mean, we got basically out of 2 divisions, and then we have the AFC East. Jets are dead. We're not worried about them. The Pats, they're there. They're pretty much dead. We'll not worry about them. But B-Flow and the boys down in Miami, 6-3.
How about these Dolphins, man? How about these Miami Dolphins?
Hey,
imagine this. Like, just think for a split second. They traded away an all-pro safety to the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. Amazing. As good as that defense is, imagine putting Minkah Fitzpatrick on that team.
Oh. What could have been?
What could have been? But you're right, Brian Flores. I mean, you're talking about in a season where Mike Tomlin, an established guy, is 9-0, possibly making a run for Coach of the Year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so we talked about those teams trying to get in, and I'm going to list some teams off who are not in the lead of their – this is second and third place teams.
Yeah.
They're teams that are not in the lead of their division at 6-3. We got the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Browns, the Ravens, the Titans. So all these teams, and then Titans, Colts are going to go back and forth probably a few times in those standings.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of talent, a lot of teams that are in this AFC. So and to my last point with the Ravens, if they fuck around and lose a game or two, they could really be in a spot where no one thought they would be before the season. Like, holy shit, we really need to win some games to make the playoffs even. So, but speaking of these AFC teams, only three of these teams, I don't have them all brought up here, but I just listed them out. Of those teams, Browns, Raiders, Ravens, Titans, Dolphins. Only three of those teams can get in with the new playoff system.
Yeah.
So, which team do you think, or two or three teams that are definitely in, or three teams that are in, and who's not going to make it for sure? And why is it the Browns?
Yeah, it's the Browns. Because they're going to Cleveland the hell out of this. I don't know how they're going to do it. They have, I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head every time you talk about them. They have a very easy schedule that favors them, and they do have a lot of talent. They just got Nick Chubb back, who I'm a huge Nick Chubb fan. I love everything about his style of play, especially like coming out of college. Everything about Nick Chubb, awesome. Arguably the best 1-2 punch at running back in the last 30 years with Kareem Hunt, because he's a top 10 running back in the NFL. So is Kareem Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Not many teams can do that. But the Browns will be out. I don't know how, but I just know the Browns won't let us down. They will be out. If I have to say the three that are in, Titans for sure, because I think they're going to win that division. I think the Colts will fall apart. I think Phillip Rivers is atrocious. I don't think he's that great, and I think he's 100 years old, and he was never a winner to begin with. He never won anything of note. I mean, he's just he's a middling quarterback.
Yep.
His big claim to fame, the only reason he stuck around is because he got drafted the same year as Eli and Ben Roethlisberger. That's it. That's the only reason he's kind of put up there. He had a couple decent years, but that's it. So I think the Titans will get in as division winners. I could see the Colts being out altogether. That's just me. But if I had to pick three out of the guys you named, Baltimore, Oakland, and Tennessee, they'll be in. The Browns will be out.
Ooh, the Raiders, huh?
Yeah, I like John Gruden. I think he's adapting his game to the NFL in 2020. That takes time. You got to remember this guy was a coach for a long time, but that was a different NFL entirely. And I think you see the way his offense, his overall team is kind of transitioning to being a more modernized version of what he was back in the day.
Yeah.
He is a great coach, analytic mastermind. I mean, that's something that people don't give him enough credit for. Being in the broadcast booth, he sees a lot of football. He saw a lot of football for a long time, and I think you're finally seeing that education, that 10,000-foot view coming into play now and executing. Don't sleep on the Raiders. I like the Raiders to make noise.
Okay. Yeah. See, before the season, I hated the Raiders. I thought they just were a bad football team. I still, every week, my picks are against them. So I lose that one every week. I picked the Broncos. I know Drew Lock stinks. I know that's a bad football team in Denver. I still picked the Broncos +5, and that was a mistake.
Yeah.
But I like the Dolphins for sure to get in, man. They look good, and I think they can really win some games going down the stretch that they might not be favored. But I don't know. People are starting to take note though. So the Dolphins, I think, are going to get in. The Ravens are going to get it together enough to get in, and I'm gonna go with the Colts, man, or the Titans. Whatever team that doesn't win that division, the AFC South, the other one will get in for that last spot, I believe. So. Hopefully the Browns don't make it, just so all my shit talking is for something. But yeah, going to be an interesting AFC North, AFC East, all that. So, but yeah, all right. Well, next topic here, we got Drew Brees. So, this is kind of just off the top. I had to bring this topic up. Is Drew Brees dead? First off, he just, I think it came out earlier today or yesterday. He allegedly fractured multiple ribs and has a collapsed lung. So some pretty big, big injuries there. But real quick before the season, Cheech, Gibby, and I all came to the conclusion that Brees would fake an injury at some point, miss about 4 to 6 weeks, rest for the playoffs because he needs it and he ain't that good. Give Jameis Winston a chance to go earn a contract somewhere. And it looks like that's probably going to happen because even though they do have Taysom Hill, even Sean Payton called him like the next like Steve Young or something.
Yeah.
I was like, and they're not really using
him. I don't see that.
I mean, the dude's already like 30 something years old, 31 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know if people actually know that. I just know it because I play Madden and I wanted to sign him and I was like, fuck that. He's like old as shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we kind of called this. I'm thinking he's faking this injury. Nosebleed crew definitely thinks he's faking this injury. Yeah, he got laid upon and it's like smashed into the earth. But do you think you know, I mean, do you think Jameis Winston, Mr. 30 for 30 himself, can come in and, win like Teddy did last year?
So Jameis Winston's not a bad quarterback. I just want to throw that out there. He's not. I mean, the guy puts up a lot of numbers. It's just that sometimes he makes poor decisions with where he puts the football. But he's got a great arm. And I think that the Saints can do well under Jameis Winston. I think working with a guy like Drew Brees, who's very cerebral. I mean, he's undersized. I mean, that's very well noted. Everybody knows Drew Brees kind of an undersized, not a lot of arm strength. Working with a guy that has relied so much on football IQ and accuracy, I think that will end up paying dividends for Jameis Winston, not just this season in a direct benefit to the Saints, but in an overall, trajectory for his career. I think he's going to come out and show he is a slightly better quarterback than maybe he was with the Buccaneers. So is he, well, let's get to, is Drew Brees dead? He's a frail, small, old man who got just absolutely power bombed by a 300-pound lineman. Yeah, that's real. I believe the cracked ribs. I believe the collapsed lung because the man needs to be on Metamucil. He needs to be on like Centrum Silver. If he's falling apart. Like, he's falling apart. He barely wanted to play. He didn't even want to play football this year. They had to sway him to play. So I don't know if he has the heart to come back on an injury like that and be anything. I don't. Especially look at the offseason. I mean, we can't discount this either. That team kind of turned on him for some political stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's something that can't be discounted. When you're a guy that is, I mean, even though I don't put him in the GOAT conversation, a lot of people do put him in like that top 10-ish range because you can't be top 5 if you haven't won a Super Bowl. I'm a big believer in that. But he's got a bunch of records. He's got a bunch of numbers. People put him up there, and to be a guy like that and then have your whole team turn on you because of, kind of what you believe, which neither here nor there. We're not going to talk politics about it, but his team kind of turned on him. His big star, Michael Thomas. People said you're misunderstood. I mean, when you're an older guy like that and you don't want to play in the first place and now your teammates are kind of turning on you, you're, frail, you have this injury, like, why would you want to come back? Maybe he's mentally strong enough to overcome that, but maybe he's not. You never know. We're going to see.
By the way, I totally fucked up the word himself on this slide for you guys watching, so feel free to joke on that. Himself. Anyway, but yeah, maybe maybe Jameis Winston can learn from him though, because I like to kind of look at what Teddy Bridgewater's doing. Granted, Teddy Bridgewater was more conservative kind of quarterback before he came to New Orleans, before his injury. But Jameis Winston, though, not so much. Obviously, he's a gunslinger. He goes out and just puts his team in bad situations sometimes. Sometimes he goes and he looks great. But you look at Teddy's number, like even Sunday's game, he starts off like
10 for 10, I
10
think
for
it
10
was when I saw it. Yeah.
probably like 12 yards or something like that. So like he kind of learned the short passes. He knows, how to, do enough to move the ball, because Teddy's, he's made some bad decisions this year for sure. He's not looked amazing, but he's looked pretty good for the situation in Carolina with a brand new coach, a young team. Can Jameis Winston, kind of take that and, hey, just like relax back there and hit those checkdowns, especially if he's with the Saints. You got somebody like Alvin Kamara who catches every pass less than 3 yards. And I think Alvin Kamara's average, or he has like, what is it? There's a stat. He has like, I don't know, a shit ton more yards than the next closest person, even wide receivers after catch. It's not surprising, obviously, but
not surprising at all. The guy's a freak.
Yeah, I mean, just a testament to what he can do once the ball's in his hands. So we'll see what Jameis Winston does. Maybe he goes into the playoffs if he's still playing, comes out, torches the Bucks. Hey, that would be something. But either way, I mean, yeah. What's up?
Jameis comes out and wins a playoff game with this team. He could earn $100 million contract. That's just what quarterbacks go for. He's got a first-round pedigree. He's, proven to be able to put up numbers consistently over time.
Mm-hmm.
he could get $100 million contract. If they give Kirk Cousins that kind of money, the money they gave him up in Minnesota, Jameis Winston can get $100 million contract winning a playoff game with this team.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. But it's, like I've always said, what have you done for me lately? And if he goes out and looks good, he's gonna earn that money. There's a lot of people but man, those interceptions though, if he comes out and steals his 30 for 30, that's still not going to be what you want. So we'll see though. I'm excited to see. We'll see how long Drew Brees is actually out. There wasn't a timeline as of right now, so we'll see. Anyway, all right. Next topic. God, look at these graphics, man. All right, so yeah,
that Rojo run, man. That
Dude.
Rojo run.
Oh man, it was incredible. Derrick Henry-esque. But anyway, so the Packers and the Bucks, two teams in the NFC that kind of have been favorites at times, and then at times they've looked absolutely like shit. So, did we learn anything about these two teams this weekend, or is it just going to be a continual roller coaster all through the season? The Bucks get mollywopped by the Saints last week, then they come out and beat the injured Niners. The Packers beat the dog shit out of the same injured Niners team, then they come out and they almost lose to a miserable ass Jaguars team. So, I mean, did we actually learn anything, or is it just a wild card? And are these teams going to have an early exit in the playoffs?
Well, we learned that Tom Brady can still throw up 40 plus on you. I mean, there's that. With that team around him, I think, maybe I jumped the gun a little bit and said Antonio Brown was just going to jump right in. But, I mean, obviously that first game in that offense, he didn't really click. And even in that Carolina game, I watched a little bit of it, and Tom Brady missed him on a mid post, just a little bit over the top.
Yep.
And you can see they're kind of growing together. I still believe this could be just an absolute monster of an offense that people are going to have to take note. What did I learn? I learned that, even Tom Brady needs time to kind of get in sync with a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really learn anything about the Packers except what I've been saying forever. I'm pretty sure the Green Bay Packers organization hates Aaron Rodgers. I'm convinced. I think they have meetings where they call meetings where he's not there, and they just say, how can we fuck Aaron over this week? Like, how can we just go against the grain and make life hard for him? The Packers they don't impress me this year. They don't.
Yeah, I mean they have looked bad at times. I mean the same team in the Bucks that just looked and got embarrassed on was it Sunday Night Football last week or something? They beat the Packers like bad, made them look bad. I mean, I just don't know. I'm the same. I don't know what we learned about either of these teams. I don't think we can put a finger on it. I don't think that anyone knows. Honestly, maybe the Packers were just sleepwalking against the Jaguars, but I mean, it's just I just don't know. Aaron Rodgers, he had a couple bad mistakes, and it's the Panthers. I think Teddy Bridgewater was hurt a little bit too into that game, and so we'll see what happens with these two teams. But I just don't think either of these teams. It's just any given Sunday, and I think that they have big problems, and I think the Bucks have a better chance to actually go in the playoffs and make a run than the Packers because the holes in the Packers defense and just the lack of talent there on offense. Yeah.
Real quick sidebar: if Tom Brady, even if he just wins the NFC Championship, does he close the door? Because there's a lot of people that still like to go against and say, "Oh, he's not the GOAT." If he wins even the NFC Championship, is it like just shut up? Don't even. Any argument you have is for second place. Because I mean, how can you? The man's got 6 Super Bowls. Yeah. That's a mark I don't think anybody will ever touch. I really don't. I think football will die before somebody else makes a run for 6 rings in their one career. Yeah. Is the door shut if he just wins an NFC Championship?
So if they win that championship game, they go to the Super Bowl. So if he goes to another Super Bowl, I think it does, man. I think it has to. I mean, you're right. No one's going to win six Super Bowls. You look at Aaron Rodgers right here. He's only got 1. Like, how hard is it to get back? Drew Brees got 1. Peyton Manning got 1. 2. Never mind. 2. No. 1.
2. 1 with the Colts and 1 with the Broncos.
You're right. 1 of each. Yeah. Nosebleed perspective. So those are like great quarterbacks in the past, 20 years. And these guys, they cannot even get back to the Super Bowl at times. So, Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna come close to that. But yeah, if he gets to the NFC Championship, they go to even. I think if he gets to the championship game in the NFC, which is very possible, because none
Yeah.
of these NFC teams look solid. So
No. A lot of
from
holes.
there's just you. I don't think we know what's gonna happen in the NFC this year. So it's a good point though. Yeah. Well, real quick, shout out to Alex Smith, man. He goes out after his surgery. Obviously, everything that happened to him, we talked about in our pregame show. We were excited for him, but dude goes out and I mean, it was against the Lions. Throws for 390 yards though. He, goes down the field and puts his team in a position to win the game, and then you just leave. Oh, Matt Stafford. So it was like 16 seconds left. He's gonna do work. So
Yeah.
just shout out to him because that was awesome to watch. I thought they were
Yeah.
gonna. I thought the Lions were just gonna give it to him. The fairy tale story.
No.
Alex
No.
Smith make a movie out of it. No, 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 no. Matt Stafford says no. So
Matt Stafford's the kind of guy that tackles the Make-A-Wish kid on the 1 yard line. Matt Stafford's a jerk off. If Matt Stafford's watching this, you fit in Detroit more than any other quarterback in the NFL because Detroit's full of scumbags.
Yo, why do you hate Matt Stafford so much?
Why give Alex Smith the win? Detroit's not going to win anything. You're the NFC Browns. Just go away. Give the man a highlight. I mean, you couldn't win with Calvin Johnson. You're not winning at all. Just Detroit altogether. Really, the whole state of Michigan. I'm like an anti-Michigan guy. And I said on your podcast, I would bet against the University of Michigan in every big game they have this year. I hope Ohio State puts 70 on them this year.
Oh, fucking who they play last week in Wisconsin? They beat the shit
out of them. Wisconsin mollywopped them.
Oh man,
mollywopped them.
Dude, they suck. They got that nice ass place, all those facilities, the big house, all that. They fucking suck.
Oh. And it's that whole state, man. Michigan State sucks. Yeah. Detroit Tigers suck.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everybody. The Pistons suck. I mean, that whole state sucks.
Hey, well, I'm glad we know how you feel about the state of Michigan now.
Yeah, they're shaped like a mitten.
Yeah. Hey, have you ever met somebody from Michigan and they're like, they put up the hand. I'm from here. I hate it. Oh, yeah. So there's that. But yeah, this has been a nosebleed perspective. You got any closing thoughts or anything?
I mean, I kind of shit on Michigan already. That would have been a great closing thought. My only closing thought is I'm going to sit here and publicly apologize to Ben Roethlisberger.
Ooh.
I have been very critical of him all year. He is, plays for my team, but I've consistently pointed out only the negative things he's done this year. Overthrowing his deep ball's been horrible.
Mm-hmm.
He's missed a lot of open receivers. He's had a lot of balls tipped at the line this year, which is uncommon for him at 6'5". Right. But this week against Smoking Joe, he went in there and kind of gave a lesson on what a pro quarterback does. So if that's the guy that plays not even all the way through the rest of the year, but consistently in that kind of range for the rest of the year, one, he's going to be comeback player of the year. That's without a doubt. But don't sleep on this man for MVP if we get a little bit closer and they're sitting at 13-0 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's pretty open right now. You got Russell Wilson, who started off high. I think he's thrown his interception way out of the conversation right now. Aaron Rodgers maybe, but yeah, Big Ben.
Yeah. And speaking of MVP, nobody talked to me about what about Dalvin Cook? Running backs don't get the MVP because they're worth nothing. They're worth nothing. I mean, unless you get 2,000 yards and your team actually starts winning, which the Vikings are not, you're not in the MVP race. Don't even bring him up because I'm just not going to talk to you.
Offensive player of the year, though.
Yeah,
if he keeps doing what he's doing. Yeah. I mean, last person to win was running back AP in like 2012, Adrian Peterson, who's still
with
running
2,000 yards.
Yeah. So my closing thought is just a quick shout out to Gibby. My guy, first off, wins a 5-game parlay yesterday. Forget the exact games, but anyway, he hit the first 4. No problem. The last game was that Bills-Cardinals game.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had 2.5 points is what it was.
Yep.
And so he's like stressing out. The Cardinals go up. The Bills are favored 2.5. Cardinals go up. He's stressed out. Then the Bills come down the field. They scored touchdown. He's hyped. Stephon Diggs over in the corner. They go up. So great. You won your money. then the Hail Mary happens, and DeAndre Hopkins, all that. And then he's stressing out. He's like, oh, fuck. He's like, whatever. He's such a good, he's like, whatever, it was a great catch.
Yeah.
Then they go out, obviously don't kick the extra point to make it 3. 2 points win by, so he wins his 5-game parlay. Attaboy, Giddy.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So
that was fantastic.
Just I had to share that just because just talking to him all day through football Sunday was a emotional roller coaster to say the least with him. So, well, anyway,
can I plug something real quick?
Yeah, man, go for it.
Yeah, just for everybody watching, this is a sports podcast. Let's talk about something that's kind of in that lane. Let's talk about martial arts. I'm sitting here. I got my 6 blades rash guard on. I'm about to go into my jiu-jitsu class.
Nice.
If you're looking for something, you're in your 30s and you think you're too old to go do something, go get into martial arts. If you got kids, get them into martial arts. I'm telling you, it's fantastic. My son's in there right now, rolling around on the ground, learning how to defend himself, learning, there's a respectful way to just be in life. Martial arts is all about life lessons. And I know a lot of people make fun of, grown men in gis and all that, but it doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to be rolling around on the ground with sweaty guys. Go get into a karate class. Karate's back. If you haven't seen Cobra Kai, karate is back. Karate's back. So go. I'm just going to say, if you have even thought at any point in your life, hey, that's something I would like to do, go try it. Because a lot of these places have a pretty reasonably priced entry or trial period. Some of them go free for 30 days. Some of them. So that's my only plug. If that martial arts lifestyle, it's worth it. It's definitely a stress reliever as well.
Yeah, for sure. I respect the hell out of that. And that's a good point. And I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and filling in, as always, pretty much a honorary co-host on this show, Nosebleed Perspective. So you all check out his podcast, Brass Tacks and Beers. It's awesome. And let's have a day.
Hey, yeah, brother. Take it easy.